Today we're going to learn how to find the area of a kite. There's a formula that you use in order to find the area of the kite that says that if you're given the diagonals of the kite, you want to multiply the diagonals together and then divide by 2. The area units for this kite or any area of a polygon is going to be in square units. So in other words, when you're dealing with the units of area, you have to make sure that there is a 2 in the right-hand corner of the units, or you can say square SQ units. The first kite we want to find the area of has diagonals 2 and 2, and then a diagonal that is 10 feet and 20 feet. To find the diagonal from the vertex angles, which is 10 plus 20, diagonal 1 is equal to 10 plus 20, which is 30 feet. To find the diagonal 2, which is drawn from the non-vertex angles, is 2 plus 2, so diagonal 2 is going to be 4 feet. So when we use the formula diagonal 1 times diagonal 2, divide by 2, which is the area of this kite, we'll multiply 30 times 4, divide that product by 2, so 120 divided by 2 will end up to be 60. But now we need to make sure we have units, and it will be 60 square feet. So we can put 8 to the second power. When we look at the next kite, it's the same. I know it's a kite because it has 2 pairs of consecutive sides that are congruent. So we need to first find the diagonal. The diagonal from the vertex angles is 2 plus 10, which is 12. So diagonal 1 is 12 units. Diagonal 2 is 6 plus 6, which is 12 also, 12 units. So now we want to find the area by taking 12 times 12 and dividing that by 2. So 12 times 12 is 144. Divide that by 2, we'll end up with 72. And since this one has no units, it's just units to the second power. So square units. The last kite, it looks different, but it is the same. Now the diagonal from the vertex angles is on the side. So diagonal 1 is 12 units. Diagonal 2 is drawn horizontally, which is 9. So diagonal 2 is 9. So we still do 12 times 9 divided by 2. 108 divided by 2, which is 54. And since there are no units again, it'll be square units. Units to the second power. Now looking at this kite, we want to find the area of the kite to the nearest 10th. You want to round if you end up with a decimal. If you don't, that's your answer, a whole number. So we still need to find the diagonals of this kite. And we're going to use the formula area is equal to diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 divided by 2. So identify the diagonals. Diagonal 1 drawn from the vertex angles is 9 plus 5, which is 14. Diagonal 2 is 4, but we're missing part of it. And since this diagonal is drawn from the non-vertex angles, they're being split in half by the other diagonal. So this is 4. So 4 plus 4 will give me 8. So now I'm going to use the formula 14 times 8 divided by 2. 14 times 8 is 112. 112 divided by 2 is 56. And since there are no units, units to the second power. Now this last kite, we want to find the length of the missing diagonal. The missing diagonal. So therefore, we're given the area, we're given one of the diagonals, but we want to find the other diagonal. So we're still going to use the formula that area is equal to diagonal 1 times diagonal 2, all divided by 2. So therefore, I'm going to replace 128 in the place of A. So that will give me 128 is equal to diagonal 1, which is 12, times diagonal 2, which is what we're looking for, divide by 2. So let's divide 12 by 2 first, which will end up to be 6. So I'm going to undo multiplying diagonal 2 by 6 by dividing by 6. So diagonal 2 will end up to be 128 divided by 6, which is a decimal number, and you'll end up with 21.3 repeating, but I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth, so it's approximately now 21.3, and the units are still going to be units squared. Now, I hope you learned something about finding the diagonal or the area of a kite. Please go back and review this PowerPoint as many times as you need to in order to understand this concept. Have a good day.